They stole $500 million without hacking anything. This wasn't a hack. No firewall was breached. No code was broken. No system was exploited. And yet, $500 million were stolen without hacking anything. When people imagine massive digital thefts, they picture elite hackers, zero-day exploits, complex malware, encrypted backdoors. But that's not how this happened. This theft didn't begin with code. It began with a conversation, a phone call, an email, a message that sounded normal, professional, urgent, believable. The attackers didn't break into the system. They were invited in. This is the story of how one of the largest crypto thefts in history was carried out using nothing more than trust, timing, and human behavior. At the center of this story are large crypto holders, exchanges, funds, high net worth individuals, people who believed their security was strong because their technology was advanced. And in many ways it was. They used hardware wallets, multi-factor authentication, cold storage, all the right tools. But tools don't make decisions. People do. The attackers understood this. They didn't target servers. They targeted employees. It started with research, public profiles, LinkedIn pages, company websites. They learned who worked where, who handled access, who answered support tickets. Then they waited for the right moment. That moment usually came during chaos, a system update, a security alert, a sudden issue that needed immediate action. The message was simple. There's a problem. We need to verify your access. Act now, or funds may be at risk. Urgency removes caution. The voice on the line sounded official. Calm, confident, in control. It didn't ask for everything. Just one thing, a reset, a confirmation, a temporary access approval. Nothing suspicious, nothing illegal. From the inside, it looked like normal work. Support doing support. IT doing IT. No alarms were triggered because no rule was technically broken. Once access was granted, the hardest part was over. The attackers didn't rush. They watched. They learned how the system worked from the inside, which approvals mattered, which didn't, who noticed activity. Then they waited again. The transfers didn't happen all at once. That would have raised flags. Instead, money moved gradually, between wallets, across accounts, sometimes disguised as internal operations. To the system, everything looked legitimate. Correct permissions, valid credentials, expected behavior. By the time anyone realized something was wrong, hundreds of millions of dollars were already gone. This wasn't one clean theft. It was a process. A slow drain powered by trust. Investigations later showed a familiar pattern. No malware, no exploit, no breach. Just people doing their jobs, following procedures, helping someone who sounded like they belonged. This is why the theft was so effective. Security teams were prepared for hackers. They weren't prepared for persuasion. Social engineering doesn't defeat systems. It bypasses them. Every layer of security still existed, but none of it mattered. Because the attackers never fought the system. They worked within it. The scale of the theft shocked the industry. $500 million. Gone. But the real shock was how simple it was. No genius-level skills. No advanced tools. Just patience, research, and timing. And this wasn't an isolated case. Similar methods have been used repeatedly. Against exchanges, against funds, against individuals. The amounts change. The story doesn't. After the theft, companies promised improvements. More training, better verification, stricter controls. But the core vulnerability remains. People trust voices. People respond to urgency. People want to solve problems. Attackers know this. They don't need to break systems. They just need to sound legitimate. The $500 million theft wasn't a failure of technology. It was a failure of boundaries, of roles, of verification, of skepticism. And those failures are invisible until it's too late. When the story became public, many asked the same question. How could this happen? The answer is uncomfortable, because it can't happen anywhere. No system can fully protect against its own users. And no amount of encryption can fix misplaced trust. This is why social engineering is more dangerous than hacking. Hacking fights defenses. Social engineering walks past them. The attackers didn't steal money. They borrowed confidence and never gave it back. $500 million didn't disappear because someone was smarter. It disappeared because someone was trusted. And trust, once exploited, is the most expensive vulnerability of all. This wasn't a hack. It was a conversation. If you want to understand modern digital crime, don't look at code. Look at people. Because systems don't fail when they're attacked. They fail when they're convinced. And that's how $500 million were stolen without hacking anything.